just like that, it is the 2021 NASCAR season. We are, 3 days away from the Busch Clash on the Daytona Road Course. So you guys have voted. I said Saturday or Sunday. You guys picked Saturday. We are going to look at the full 2021 NASCAR season. Going to talk about some of the biggest storylines, talk about some of the changes with drivers, teams, the schedule itself, and then we're going to make some predictions as well. That's right, you're going to see my championship pick. You're going to see some other picks for certain races. And we'll talk about that. Playoff picks, all the fun stuff we're going to talk about today. I got a list here of stuff I want to talk about. But let's get this thing started. Let's first look back at the 2020 season. The 2020 season was a pretty eventful one. Right off the bat, of course, the Daytona 500. Ryan Newman in that crash on the last lap. Denny Hamlin winning his second consecutive Daytona 500 by inches. And then, of course, Ryan Newman's horrific accident. And then after that, we had the COVID thing. The whole 2 months off almost because of the COVID pandemic. And then we came back to NASCAR. No fans in the stands. The second race back, Chase Elliott flipped off Kyle Busch because of a crash. And then we saw the Chase Elliott-Joey Logano incident at Bristol. Then we went through on more of the year and more stuff. We saw some schedule changes. We saw races like Sonoma and Watkins Glen get canceled. We saw new dates added or new tracks added for those dates. We saw second Darlington races, second Charlotte races. The Daytona Road Course was added to the schedule. And then we went to the playoffs. And the playoffs, all kinds of crazy things happened. Kevin Harvick, who won 9 races last year, missed the championship race. Chase Elliott won his first championship. And that's a very quick recap of the 2020 season. And then we went to the off season. It's been pretty calm. We've had some things happen. We were going to talk about those things. But man, just wanted to recap the 2020 season in case you missed the 2020 NASCAR season. That is a very quick recap of it. I think I did a live stream right after the season. So if you want to know what happened, you can go check that out. But let's move on to 2021. The first thing I want to talk about is new teams and new drivers at new teams, or just, new teams, like actual new teams that were added to the sport over the offseason or announced last year and have been doing work. So the first thing I got is Alex Bowman. He's not moving to a new team, but he is moving to a new number. Alex Bowman has driven the number 88 car for 3 years now. He will now be moving to the number 48. Of course, Jimmy Johnson made that number famous, winning 7 championships in that car. Now Alex Bowman will take over that car, and he will drive the number 48 Ally Chevrolet. Next thing is Anthony Alfredo will drive the Front Row Motorsports Ford. Of course, last couple of years, he's ran Xfinity Series for RCR. He is now moving up to Cup to race in the Front Row car, the 38, I believe. And so there's that. He's going to be teammates with Michael McDowell. I think that's a good move for him right now. Michael McDowell's a veteran with experience. I think that could help him out. So, obviously not going to be a super competitive car, Front Row Racing or Front Row Motorsports, whatever they're called. They haven't won a race since 2013, I believe, with Dave and Reagan at Talladega. Or Chris Buescher, actually, 2016 at Pocono. But other than that, they don't compete for wins that often. Maybe super speedways, but I don't see. We'll talk about that later on. Corey LaJoie moved from Go Fast Racing to Spire Motorsports. He will be driving the number 7 car now. Eric Jones was at Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 20 car. He was booted out of his ride for Christopher Bell, who will now be in the 20 car. And Eric Jones will now be moving to Richard Petty Motorsports in the 43. As I said just like a couple seconds ago, Christopher Bell is now in the 20 car. Ross Chastain will move to the 42 car. Matt Kenseth, of course, took over the 42 last year after Kyle Larson was fired for the racial slur. And Ross Chastain, after last season, Matt Kenseth did not stay with the team, so they decided to sign Ross Chastain, who has raced with Chip Ganassi Racing before in terms of Xfinity Series back when they had an Xfinity program. He won some races. So he's kind of been the guy that Ganassi's been talking to, I feel like, for the last few years. But it is now official. Chastain will be at Chip Ganassi Racing in the 42. Another big storyline was Kyle Larson reinstated and rehired in NASCAR. He will be driving the Hendrick Motorsports number 5 car. Still not a lot of sponsorship on that car. We do have a couple non-Hendrick sponsors, Cincinnati and I think Freightliner, but Other than that, Kyle Larson, he's going to be a big topic of the whole 2021 season. All eyes are going to be on him. This is the best car he's driven in his career. Remember, he drove for Chip Ganassi Racing. They're a good team, but they're definitely not an A-tier team. And Hendrick Motorsports coming off of a championship, I think Larson's going to be someone you have to look out for, see how he does. And it's also going to be his first time in a stock car next Sunday in about a year, maybe a little bit less, 11 months or so. So yeah, we'll see how he does. I don't think he'll miss a beat. I don't think he'll go out and win a bunch of races. We'll talk about that later, but I think he will do well. Next, we have 3 new teams in the Cup Series. We have Live Fast Racing, which is co-owned by Matt Tifft and BJ McLeod. Matt Tifft, a former Cup driver who's had some medical issues, so he's not driven the past season or two, but he is an owner of this team with BJ McLeod, who's raced in the Xfinity Series, the Cup Series. So they both know their way around NASCAR. They're former drivers, recent former drivers. They will be funding a small team, taking over some of the charter races that used to belong to Go Fast because Go Fast Racing moved to part-time. They used to be a full-time team, but Live Fast took some of the charter races from Go Fast. Next up, we have Trackhouse Racing, and they are co-owned by Pitbull, the singer-musician, of course, if you don't know who that is. And the driver will be Daniel Suarez. And I forgot to mention this, but the Live Fast Racing, I think BJ McLeod will be driving some of those races. But back to Trackhouse, Daniel Suarez will be driving for them. They have a variety of sponsorship. They're going to be the number 99 car. You've seen some of the paint schemes in my paint scheme preview. If you haven't, go look at that. But yeah, I think they could do decent. I think they could compete for a playoff spot. We'll go into more detail later on when I'm doing my predictions and stuff and kind of breaking down who I think is going to make the playoffs and not. But yeah, I think that's a great opportunity for both parties. I think Justin Marks, he's wanted to be a Cup owner. Pitbull's going to be a co-owner, and then obviously they brought in sponsors that'll bring in some funding. And Daniel Suarez is finally going to have an opportunity to establish himself as a driver on one team and not be given time to develop. He was not given really much time to develop at Joe Gibbs Racing or at Stewart Haas Racing. So I think this is a great opportunity for him. And then, of course, the biggest talk of the offseason last season, other than Larson to Hendrick, was Michael Jordan's new racing team. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin will co-own a racing team called 2311 Racing, and their driver will be Bubba Wallace. I would say that this is the biggest topic, the biggest story of the 2021 season will be how good is Bubba Wallace. He has not been in competitive Cup equipment in his career. He's been with Richard Petty Motorsports. They have not really been that good for the past however many years. And Bubba Wallace last season, they improved a good bit. He got a few top 20s, a few top 10s. He led some laps. So I think that this is a good move for his part to leave Richard Petty Motorsports. But it's a crazy thing that Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan are teaming up to own a race team. Michael Jordan, the NBA legend, the GOAT, they're owning a race team now, and it's going to be a Toyota. I don't know. I have no clue how good it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a 5th Joe Gibbs car. They're saying it's not a Joe Gibbs car, a 5th Joe Gibbs car, but I'm talking about like speed, performance. I don't know how good they're going to be. I don't know if they're going to be competing for wins consistently, top 10s consistently. I don't know if it's going to be a slow start, some growing pains, and they might, take a while to get really going. But we're going to talk about that a bit. We're going to give some predictions on that. And then, yeah, that's it for the new teams and new drivers. If I miss anything in this video, feel free to comment and just tell me I'm dumb. And you say, you missed this. What are you doing? I will respond in my comments, give you my thoughts there. But now we're going to go to some of the top overall stories outside of these new teams and new drivers. Chase Elliott, the defending NASCAR champion, the most popular driver, he won the championship. I mean, when's the last time we saw the most popular driver win the championship? I think it was like 1988 with Bill Elliott. Dale Jr. never won a title. So that's a big storyline. Everyone's going to be looking at that. No one has repeated a championship under this format. Since 2014, since we've done the knockouts, the championship 4 race, we have not had a repeat champion in terms of back-to-back. Kyle Busch is the only driver to have repeated in the system in 2015 and 2019, but we have never had a back-to-back champion in this format. So can Chase Elliott do it? He's got the same playoff schedule he did last year. Can he get through those rounds, make it to the championship race, and have another good race at Phoenix? Well, we'll figure out here in about, I guess, 10 or 11 months. So there you go. That's going to be a top thing. And then, as I said, another thing with that is, we've seen drivers have different responses to championships. We've seen guys like Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch won the 2019 title. In 2020, he had an awful year. Will Chase Elliott have a championship hangover, or will he do something that his ex-teammate did? Will he go on and win another championship? Will he be very competitive again? Remember, I'm referring to Jimmy Johnson, who won 5 straight. I'm not saying that Chase Elliott's going to go win 5 straight, but will he put up the numbers like last year? Will he do better than last year? How good will Chase Elliott be this year? Will he have a Kyle Busch 2019, 2020 championship hangover, or will he have a Jimmy Johnson repeat year? So I think that'll be overall as a story, that will be a top story. And then, of course, the new schedule. We have a new schedule with tons of new dates, tons of new tracks, and we've already had some small adjustments due to COVID already. Of course, the first thing we're going to talk about, the Daytona Road Course, will be the second race of the year. They got rid of Auto Club due to COVID restrictions in California and stuff, so Daytona Road Course will be the second race of the year. That's seven points-paying road courses this year. The most we used to have was 2 or 3. Now we've jumped to 7. We've doubled it. We more than doubled it. That's crazy to think. Imagine when I first became a NASCAR fan, it was Watkins Glen and Sonoma. Imagine going back 10 years ago and saying we're going to have 7 road courses on the schedule. And they're going to be in Austin, Texas, Wisconsin, Daytona, Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, and then Charlotte, the Charlotte Roval. Imagine telling someone that. I mean, that's crazy, right? But yeah. So that's the first major change to the schedule. We're not going to go through every day, but look at some of the significant points. Of course, the first major thing is the first 3 races in Florida. The Daytona 500, the Daytona Road Course, and then Homestead, Miami. West Coast Swing, blah, 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 blah. And then March 28th is the Bristol Dirt Race. The first time NASCAR will be on dirt since 1970. That is going to be, no one knows what to expect with that. A lot of people are already saying it's going to be a horrible race. Cup cars won't do good on dirt. A lot of people are saying it's going to be a great race. There's a lot of conflict right now with what's it going to be like, but I really have no clue. So we're going to have to wait and see. The next thing we are going to talk about is Circuit of the Americas. These first 2 new tracks, I think, are in my opinion, the most anticipated races of 2021. Dirt race for obvious reasons. It's stock cars on dirt. Circuit of the Americas, because this racetrack is for Formula One. This racetrack was built in 2012, 2013. They've run the United States Grand Prix here for 8 or 9 years now in Austin, Texas. And, Cup cars, this is the first time they're going to be racing on this track. We've seen IndyCar on this track. We've seen all different types of motorsports, but this is the first time NASCAR will be on this track. And I'm extremely interested to see how they handle the different types of turns on this track. If you've not seen the track, you need to go check it out. Just watch a lap of a Formula One race or something. It's a very unique track in terms of the different types of turns, the elevation changes, the length of certain straightaways. It's a very unique track, and I'm really curious to see how some of these Cup cars handle Circuit of the Americas. That will be in May 23rd. Then we have the Texas All-Star Race. The All-Star Race, of course, has been in Charlotte forever. Last year it was moved to Bristol, and then this year Texas Motor Speedway lost a points race, but they were rewarded with the All-Star Race. That's right. The All-Star Race will be in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, at Texas Motor Speedway on June 13th. And yeah, I hope they do something different. We'll talk about that later. And then we go the next week to Nashville Super Speedway, the 1.3 mile track, I think. It's going to be the first race. That's where the switch happens from Fox Sports to NBC. Nashville will be a new track. And yeah, that's that. Nashville. And then July 4th, like not July 4th weekend, July 4th, Sunday, July 4th, NASCAR will go to Road America up in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for a 62-lap, 250-mile race. The Xfinity Series has raced here for a few years now, and Cup Series will be making one of their first trips to Road America this summer over the July 4th holiday. And yeah, I'm excited for that race personally. I think it'll be a good race. I really like that track, some of the Xfinity races I've watched there. So I think that will be a fun race. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. We no longer have the Brickyard 400. The oval was scratched from the schedule. And now we have the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Last year, the Xfinity Series ran the road course, and it was a tremendous race. So I have high expectations for that race. I think that'll be a great race. That will be August 15th. And then we've got the playoffs. It's going to be the same playoff schedule that we had last year. It's going to be Darlington, Richmond, Bristol, Las Vegas, Talladega, Roval, and then actually Texas and Kansas have flipped. So it's going to be Texas, Kansas, Martinsville rather than Kansas, Texas, Martinsville. And then, of course, we're going to have Phoenix as a championship race once again. So, yeah, that's your 2021 schedule. And then the Daytona Oval will be the cutoff race for the playoffs. And that was a great decision last year. They're keeping it up again. But, yeah, that's your schedule. That's a quick look at your schedule for the 2021 season, some of the major changes, and then, of course, some of the new tracks added to the schedule. Now, we're going to get to the predictions part now. We are officially at the point where I'm going to start predicting stuff. It's rather going to be horribly wrong, or it's going to be right, or it's going to be close. I don't mean to state the obvious, but that's usually what it is. It's rather horribly wrong or it's right. Usually the middle part is very rare. 2019, I picked Brad Keselowski to win the championship. He had a great start to the year, and then he got eliminated in the round of 12. Sad. Bad prediction. Last year, I picked Chase Elliott to win the championship, and he did it. Great prediction. You see the two opposites we're getting at here, but we're going to look at this. I'm not going to do a complete, we don't have time to state something is a bold prediction. We don't have time to separate it, but if you think something's a bold prediction, you tell me, and I'll tell you why I made that prediction. Some of these may be considered bold. Some of these may be considered, well, duh, kind of moments, so you will get to determine that in the comments. I will not separate it out. I won't waste the time. But let's get into it. Let's stop talking about that. Let's just get straight into the predictions. So we're going to talk for predictions. We're going to predict some races. We're not going to predict all 36, but we're going to predict what we used to do is we would predict the four majors, which used to be the Brickyard 400, Daytona 500, Coke 600, and the Southern 500. But the Brickyard no longer exists, and last year, we had no new tracks. This year, we have new tracks. I'm going to predict the winners for all the new tracks and the majors, which include the Daytona 500. Actually, no, I'm not going to predict the Daytona 500. I'm going to wait till my Daytona 500 preview next week to predict that. And then we're going to do the Coke 600 and the Southern 500. Now, also another thing, a part of the schedule I completely forgot to mention because I'm dumb, is Atlanta and Darlington were given second races this year. And, other tracks like Michigan lost dates. But we're not going to predict those races, but I forgot to mention that, so here you go. Anyways, let's start off with the Bristol Dirt Race. The Bristol Dirt Race, I think some of the top contenders you got to look at are Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell. Those guys have tons of dirt experience. They're great on the dirt tracks. Kyle Larson, he destroyed everyone in 2020, winning a million races. I don't know how many he actually won. And then Christopher Bell also has dirt experience. I think those two will be the favorites going into that race. I'm sure some of these other Cup guys have dirt experience, but in my opinion, those two will be the top contenders, and I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson wins the first Bristol Dirt Race. It just seems appropriate. The dude wins everything on dirt. Why would he not win the first NASCAR Cup race at Bristol on dirt since 1970? Seems appropriate. Next, we're going to go to the Circuit of the Americas. Of course, everyone's saying the new schedule with all these road courses is going to help Chase Elliott a ton, going to help the defending champ because he is amazing at road courses, and I agree. But the second road course of the year, which is a new track, Circuit of the Americas, I think Chase Elliott does not win, in fact. I think there's another road course driver who's extremely good at these road courses. He's been in the top three consistently. He's led a ton of laps. And in fact, I think his worst finish in the last few road courses is 14th, and that's because he got wrecked at the Roval on the last lap. That's right, Martin Truex Jr. I think he gets it done at the Circuit of the Americas. I think he wins down in Austin, Texas in May. So there's my pick there. Coke 600, it's a hard race to predict because sometimes guys like Truex or Kyle Busch will lead 380-something laps and dominate and win the race. But then we see things like last year where it comes down to late race caution, late race pit call. And, those are really tough to call. And so for that, it's just such an uncertain race. But my pick's going to be Logano. I don't know why, but Joey Logano, I think he wins the Coke 600. The next race we're going to pick is the Texas All-Star Race. First time it's been at Texas Motor Speedway, so I don't know. It's tough to pick. I don't know if they're going to change the rules package for this race. I don't know if they're going to do different types of stages or something. I don't know what they're going to do. But there's one guy who's dominated multiple Texas races, but he has yet to win at Texas. And I think he wins the All-Star race, Ryan Blaney. Last year in the summer, he led 180-something laps. Of course, he didn't win. He finished 7th due to the late caution. And then in 2017, he led a ton of laps, swept the stages. He didn't win that one either. I think he gets it done in the All-Star race. Next up, we're going to look at Nashville. Nashville, Kyle Busch, he won there in the Xfinity Series, 10 years ago. It's just kind of a random guess. But Kyle Busch, I think he wins in Nashville. Road America. This guy's had experience at Road America before in the Xfinity Series. He's considered the best road racer currently in NASCAR. I think Chase Elliott wins there. As I said, I think past experience will help him. He's the best road course racer. Those two things combined, I think he wins Road America. Indianapolis road course, I think that also goes to Elliott. He does good on the Rovals. Daytona road course, which is also a Roval, he wins at. Charlotte Roval, he wins at. Indianapolis Roval road course thing, I think he wins at. Southern 500, we're going to go with Chase Elliott again. I think he gets redemption. I'm big into redemption stories. Casey Kane winning the 2017 Brickyard 400, redeeming himself for the 2014 choke. Stories like that. I think that Chase Elliott gets it done here. I think that he wins the Southern 500. He was so close to winning 2 Darlington races last year, and I think he gets the redemption story this year. Makes sense to me. On to the playoffs. We're going to pick who's going to make the playoffs, who's going to miss the playoffs, talk about some of the contenders. Now let's talk about the guys who are locked in. These guys, if they miss it, in my opinion, it would be stunning. I would be shocked. I would lose sleep over it. Brad Keselowski, he's a lock. He's going to make it. Kevin Harvick, he's going to make it. Kyle Larson, I think he's going to make it. I'm pretty confident in Larson's driving ability and that equipment that he's going to make it. Plus, the Bristol Dirt Race gives him a great opportunity to win. I think he makes it. I think Larson could go in the bubble category for sure. I could see that argument, but I see Larson making the playoffs. Later, with his time at Chip Ganassi Racing, he was a lock to make the playoffs. And Chip Ganassi equipment, I think Hendrick equipment's going to make him a lock too. Chase Elliott, defending Cup champion. He's yet to miss the playoffs in his career. I think he makes it here. Denny Hamlin, he's a lock. Ryan Blaney's a lock. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Alex Bowman. Those are my 10 guys I am locking in the playoffs. I would be stunned if they missed the playoffs. You may have your opinion on some of these guys I put in the bubble. You may say, hey, these guys are locked for sure. Maybe they're not. Maybe some of the guys I locked in, you think they're in the bubble. But that's my thing. I think those 10 guys make it for sure. As for the bubble, I think my bubble guys are Kurt Busch, Austin Dillon, Ryan Newman, Tyler Reddick, Eric Almirola, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, Matt DiBenedetto, Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Cole Custer, Ross Chastain, and Daniel Suarez. Those guys are all on the bubble because I think that they can win and make it in. That locks you in. But I also could see them maybe struggling at times in the year, and that could hurt them in the points, which puts them in a must-win situation. They get too aggressive. They try too hard to do something, and it doesn't work out for them. I could for sure see that happening, and I think that could definitely hurt them. But some of these guys I could see making in without a problem. So let's talk about that. And then also the factor of, someone random winning. But let's talk about him. Kurt Busch has won one race since, 26? I think he's won a race every year since 2014. With Chip Ganassi each year he's been there. 2019 he won at Kentucky. 2020 he won at Las Vegas. He is very capable of winning. He's made the playoffs both years comfortably. I think he's in. I think he makes it into the playoffs. He's my first guy I have in. Next up is Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon had a really good year last year. I know we like to give him a lot of crap because he's Richard Childress' grandson, and he was given that ride. But he really did have a good year last year. Even without the Texas win, I think he would have made it in on points. He had a really strong round of 16. Round of 12, he had some struggles which were out of his control, but he had a really good year last year. RCR in 2019 was awful, and they really stepped it up last year with the win at Texas from Austin Dillon, some strong performances from both Reddick and Dillon, I could see Dillon making the playoffs for sure. I could see him winning somewhere. I could see him running consistently enough to make it, but I do not have him in the playoffs. I have him missing the playoffs. I don't think he gets a win, and I just think there's so many competitive guys this year in the Cup Series. I mean, I got like 13 guys on the bubble. That's 23 people for 16 spots, and that's not even including if someone random like Eric Jones or Michael McDowell wins a race. So you got to factor that in. Next up, Ryan Newman. I don't think he makes the playoffs, but the reason I put him in the bubble category is because of that 2019 season when he pointed his way into the playoffs with Roush Fenway Racing. Last year, he did not do as well. Of course, he missed a few races due to his injuries, but just overall after that, he just really didn't do that well. But he's done all right on the super speedway, so I could definitely see him winning a super speedway race and locking himself in. It's going to be tough for him to make the playoffs for sure, but I don't have him making it. Next up is Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick in his second full-time season with an RCR car. Once again, last year RCR was really good compared to 2019. They had a 1-2 finish at Texas. Reddick led some laps at different types of tracks, won a stage at Talladega, finished top 5 at Homestead. He's been somewhat consistent for a rookie last year. He missed the playoffs, but he was in the bubble. He was in the hunt for it later on. So I think that this year he does make the playoffs, and I think he wins a race, specifically Homestead Miami Speedway. He won 2 championships at Homestead Miami Speedway in the Xfinity Series. He got top 5 there last year, had a great run. I think he wins Homestead Miami this year. I think he makes the playoffs on a win and, makes it into the playoffs because he wins Homestead Miami Speedway. I mean, how many times do I have to say that? But I think he does make the playoffs. Next up, Eric Almirola. I had him missing the playoffs last year, and he proved me wrong. And you know what? I'm going to do it again. I don't think he makes it. He's in Stewart-Haas equipment. He's done really well. He did really well in 2018 when he won a race, made it to the round of 8, but he's just been too inconsistent for me. I just don't think he makes it. I like the guy, I really do, but I don't think he makes the playoffs. Chase Briscoe is a rookie. This is a little bit of a hot take, I think, but I think he wins a race. I don't know which race he wins, but I think he wins. He's in a competitive Cup car. He's with Stewart-Haas Racing. Outside of Harvick, they've been really inconsistent, but I think Briscoe is a really good driver. I really like Chase Briscoe. I think he wins a race and makes it to the playoffs. Next is Christopher Bell. I think he's got a great shot at the dirt race. He's in JGR equipment. I think he makes the playoffs. Really good driver, a really good car. I think he makes it. Matt DiBenedetto, he had some really good runs last year. He's come really close to winning at Las Vegas, Talladega, Bristol. So he's almost won on multiple tracks. I think he's got another good opportunity this year. I think he makes the playoffs off of a win. That's right. I think we have 13 different winners this year. Some of these guys. I don't think Chastain or Custer make it. I don't think they're consistent enough. Remember last year, Cole Custer, the only reason he made the playoffs was from that Kentucky win. Other than that, he was extremely inconsistent. I think he misses the playoffs. Chastain, I think he misses the playoffs. And then it comes down for that final spot to Daniel Suarez, Bubba Wallace, and William Byron. I'm going to say that Daniel Suarez doesn't make the playoffs. I just don't think that team has enough. I just don't think they have enough to make it into the playoffs. I don't know enough about that team. I don't have them making the playoffs. Now it comes down to Bubba and Byron. Bubba Wallace is with a new team. This new team has not had experience on the track yet. They don't have the data and the numbers that some of these other teams have. Bubba Wallace, this is his first opportunity in a big ride in a really good car. I don't know if it's going to be a really good car. I don't know how closely aligned to JGR this thing is. I don't know how fast it's going to be. There are too many questions about that car right now. I could very easily see that car making the playoffs. I could see that car winning a race this year. But in my opinion, I don't think they make it just because there are too many questions and there's not enough there. I think it's got the potential to be a really good team. And I would not be shocked if they went out and proved me wrong, if they won a race, if they made the playoffs. But there's too many question marks right now. This is Bubba Wallace's first year in good equipment, potentially. This is 23XI's first year. There could be growing pains. There could be a slow start. There's too many questions for me. Byron has won a race. He's in his 4th year in the Cup Series. I think he makes it. I don't think he wins, but I do think he makes it. So that is my playoffs. We've got Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Alex Bowman. Those are the first 10. And then we've got Kurt Busch, Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, Matt DiBenedetto, and William Byron. Those are your 16. Let's get to the final 4 predictions. It's been pretty consistent for the most part. The guys who make it, we've had a few different every once in a while, but Harvick, Kyle Busch, Truex, Logano, Brad Keselowski, those are the guys who've made it a lot of the time. And then we've had one-offs, like Chase Elliott made his first appearance last year. Jeff Gordon made it once. Jimmy Johnson made it 1 year. So we've had a few instances where guys make it 1 year, or they had their first time recently. So, but other than that, it's been these 5 or 6 guys just rotating who makes it. Denny Hamlin's in there too. But my championship 4 this year: Chase Elliott, the defending NASCAR Cup Series champion; Kevin Harvick; Martin Truex Jr., and Brad Keselowski. Elliott, I think that their expectation has to be championship 4 from now on. They just won a championship. They made their first appearance and won a championship in it. I think they have to expect that, and I think they're good enough to. That team continues to grow. They continue to build year after year on their success. I think they continue to succeed. I think they make it to the championship 4. This year is a big opportunity for Hendrick Motorsports in terms of performance. They've got a great opportunity to go out and win races with multiple drivers. So the road courses help too. I think Elliott builds up enough playoff points with those road courses, and I think he makes it to the championship 4. As for Kevin Harvick would be the redemption story. Missed it last year on a last lap spin after winning 9 races. Dominated last year, but missed the championship race. That would be a comeback story, going to his favorite track, his best track on the schedule. I think that's just, it's meant to be for him to make the championship 4. He's good enough. He's going to win multiple races this year. He's going to win stages. He's going to lead a ton of laps. He's Kevin Harvick. He's a champion. He could be a 3 or 4-time champion. But I think this is a great opportunity for him. I think he makes it. Next up, Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. struggled last year. His first year with new crew chief, James Small, they only had 1 win, which is a major, major step down from what they normally do. Remember, with Cole Pearn, they won 4 races in 2016, 8 races in 2017, 4 races again in 2018, and then another 7 in 2019. So they know how to win races. But, last year was a struggle. They made it to the round of 8. They almost made it to the championship 4, but they took a step down. There's no question about it. They've got multiple Final Four appearances in the past, in 2017 to 2018, or to 2019, I should say. And then last year to only have 1 win and miss the championship 4 is a major letdown. But I think they take another step up this year. I think they do much better than last year. I think they win more races. As I said, road courses are going to help tremendously with that team. Martin Truex Jr. is a really good road course racer. I think that that's gonna benefit him a ton. But yeah, I think that team, they make a step forward. I think they make it to the championship 4. And then Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski was consistent last year. He did great on the 750 package races. I think they continue that success, and I think they make it to the championship 4. So the championship 4 will be Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, according to me. Now for the champion. This may be a little bold. I've not seen a lot of people talking about him in terms of championship. I've seen people talk about him in terms of making the playoffs, maybe making a deep run. But after last year, they just lost their confidence in him, it seemed like. It's not a super bold pick. Super bold pick. But it's also not an easy pick. I think Truex. I don't know why. It just, I just feel like Truex gets it done. Martin Truex Jr., I think they come back from last year, They had such a bad year last year, but I think they come back, win a bunch of races, make it to the championship, and win Phoenix. I don't know. It just feels right. I really don't know, but that's my championship pick. And that is the end of my 2021 season preview and predictions. Let me know some of your predictions in the comment. Who's going to win the championship? Is it going to be, I don't know, Chase Elliott? Is it going to be Kevin Harvick? Could it be someone like Kyle Larson? Someone just out of nowhere? Could it be Michael McDowell? I doubt it. But those are my championship picks. I think that this will be a fun year. With all the new tracks, all the uncertainties with these new tracks, I think it could be an extremely fun year. But time will tell. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. This was a long video, but we had to talk about so many changes this year for the schedule, certain teams. I think I missed a couple things, but you know, if I did, just ask me about them. But thank you again for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff, and have a great rest of your day.